You kind of forget every so often, it's like, I've actually only been doing this for not that long. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the skills and the ability to really kind of lead the charge in certain areas. I just have to remind myself that I've done a lot of good work, I've done what I need to do, and I also have gained a lot of experience, not just from my job, but from my life outside of my job as well. I'm Abrielle Newman. I am a staff attorney at Legal Action of Wisconsin, where I supervise the Eviction Defense Project. So that's our pro bono project that utilizes private attorneys to represent tenants at their eviction hearings. So I coordinate all the scheduling, I supervise the subject matter and procedure, and all of that for the Eviction Defense Project. I've been doing that for about 4 years now. I graduated from UW-Madison in 2021, and since then I've been working with legal action and all of that. Actually, when I first started at Legal Action of Wisconsin with the Eviction Defense Project, I was from the get-go supervising pro bono attorneys just on the subject matter of landlord-tenant law as they were volunteering for the project. I was working with a supervisor of my own, and we together kind of ran that project. When my supervisor left, I kind of stepped into that role, and I saw myself as someone who was ready to take over and to make more of the kind of broader decisions and broader responsibilities for it. So it was kind of presented to me, but I also really took the opportunity to step into it as it came, because I found myself just really feeling impassioned and excited to incorporate creative decisions and changes into something that I've been doing for a while, and it just felt like the right time to be able to do that in my career. The most rewarding and the most exciting and fulfilling part of supervising others has been the ability to make things easier and more efficient for other people, because I can then see that in how it helps our clients then. I love taking feedback from people, and I love seeing the little things that I can tweak that make a big difference for people. That's something that I just find really fulfilling, and I love that I'm in a position where I'm able to implement those changes and able to help people feel empowered to kind of step into that kind of creative role too. I just love the constant evolution of making things easier, more efficient, and just better for everyone involved. The biggest challenge that I've faced is one, that disciplining people is really hard, but I've found that if you have constant check-ins with people, if you have constant communications with the people who are working with you and learning from you, it's not going to come as a surprise to them when you have something constructive or something disciplinary to say to them, because they know that you have been invested in their work and that you've been trying to help them grow, and that you trust them, that they want to learn and grow too. So disciplining, that's one of the hardest challenges. The other hard challenge for me is kind of striking that balance between what is something that is adequate criticism versus what is something that is just bothersome to me, that maybe doesn't require my time and energy to try to fix in someone, because it's really it's their work and it's their what they've put into the work that they're doing. It doesn't need to be exactly what I want, as long as it's getting the job done. Something that I find really helpful is when I'm doing these check-ins with the folks that I'm working with, I will ask them to bring me the things that they're facing. So what have you been working on? What questions do you have? What challenged you this week? So that I know what they want feedback on. You know, if they want feedback on a certain area of substantive law, then I can advise them that way. If they want experience on how do I speak in court this way, then I can give them feedback based on what's necessary for their growth and their development as a lawyer, as a student, and all of that. So, you know, taking what they need is something that I find is really helpful with that. You're not always gonna find mentors in the people that you would maybe think you would just based on a perception. So I never want to force that on someone who, you know, is my subordinate or is working, you know, under me at the clinic. So I will never force that sort of thing. But if someone is coming to me and they're asking me questions, then I'm gonna take that extra step to meet with them outside of work if they want to, you know, talk to them on the phone about other things that are, you know, going on not just in their legal work, but maybe in their life outside of that too. Not necessarily personal things, though I would welcome that too, but about other sorts of activities that they're involved in, because, you know, I'm really big on community involvement. I'd be happy to talk to people about how that's influenced me and how it could help them as well. At a baseline, you address it in pretty much the same way. I'm someone who anyone here, regardless of their experience as a lawyer, can come to with questions about the task at hand. And either I'm gonna know them or I'm gonna know exactly who to ask so that they can get the answer. So that happens regardless of if it's a young lawyer or someone who has been doing it for longer than I have. The way that, you know, differences come in is that I don't want to act like to someone who is at a similar place in their career as I am, that I know everything and that I am, you know, I know all the answers and they can't, you know, bring any of themselves into it because I'm the person who knows it and is in charge, because that's just not how I view the role. So I think that people would see right through that. So I try to be more relatable. And I think that doesn't just translate to younger lawyers too. I think that being relatable to your staff in general kind of builds that trust where people, they want to come to you with questions. So I think that is one of the most important things that a supervisor can do, if they're able to do that, is to be in the trenches with their staff as well. Something that I really respect about my supervisor is that she takes cases and she does the supervisory role as well. So that's something that I always want to be able to do, because if you aren't doing the work, how are you going to advise someone on how to do it too? That said, it can be very difficult to balance that, so I always have to set aside time for administrative tasks and also legal work, because you can't really intertwine them, but it all has to get done. So, you know, I think that finding that balance is incredibly important, so taking affirmative steps to, you know, allocate time to certain things is really important. At least when it comes to the clinic that I supervise. When it comes to the attorneys involved, you know, I trust them to, you know, give legal advice under their, you know, ethical obligations. But students, paralegal support staff, you know, I have to be very wary and cognizant that they are, you know, limiting their interactions with clients to legal information, and that they are, you know, following all of the ethical bounds that I set and that are set for all of us. So, you know, I just try to model that in myself. And I also, aside from any sort of ethical obligations, I really do try to learn and take the experiences of the non-lawyers and incorporate that into the work as well, because I have so much to learn from them and so much to appreciate about what they do. So. I wish that young lawyers knew that they absolutely have all of the skills already that they need to be able to do this. They just have to have that confidence in themselves. I've been thinking for myself that, someone trusted me to be in this role, so I need to trust their judgment, and then I need to trust myself. And I think that that is not something that's specific to me. That would be for anyone across the board. And then I would say that I think being a good leader requires you to be sort of holistic in your approach. So I wish people, I want for people to be involved in other organizations and other sorts of activities that make them a well-rounded person, so that they can be, more relatable to their subordinates, more relatable to clients, and just a more well-rounded person overall. Really is a tough balance, because being a lawyer is a full-time job, and being a manager just adds all of these extra responsibilities on top of that. So it's really made me respect the folks that have really kind of mentored me in my career and that I've learned really good skills from, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility too, to manage not just your own ethical obligations, but to be on top of making sure that other people are fulfilling theirs as well. So yeah, it's just kind of put it into perspective that it's a lot of work, and that the people who do it well, they deserve a lot of accolades for that, because it's hard work. Communication, humility, being able to admit that you're wrong, and being able to ask other people for help, and to recognize that you don't know all the answers, you don't have to know all the answers, you just need to know where to get them. That's a big thing. And then I just think that having, a service forward mind and, direction to your practice, doing pro bono work, things like that will really get people in the mindset of being independent, in being in a leadership role. If young lawyers, some of us, aren't given the opportunity to be the lead attorney on some of on cases right away. But if you're doing pro bono work, you're going to be the lead attorney on that case. You're likely going to have a student that is going to be your subordinate in that case, and you're going to have that leadership opportunity right then and there. So I think that pro bono work is the number one opportunity that people can take to be able to build those leadership skills early in their career.